Yes. Hello, hello. Welcome back. It is episode 15 of the Cinema Draft podcast, where daily fantasy sports meets the movies. But instead of drafting athletes from teams, you're drafting actors from movies, and how their movies perform at the North American box office will earn you points for your call sheet of actors while competing against others for fun and prizes. But we'll get more into the gameplay later. I am very proud and excited to introduce in her first feature length podcast the one, the only. You know her, you love her, probably more than I do. She birthed me. It is the Draft Mom. Welcome to my mother. Say hello, Draft Mom.
Hello, hello, hello. How are you doing, folks?
There she is. Couldn't even hear you over the applause, Mom. Couldn't even hear you over the applause.
I
And
said
so
hi.
yes, how you doing today? How's everything in your world?
My world is fine. Everything is fine.
Yes, basically, I dragged her on. Uh, I dragged her onto this podcast to help us out because this is going to be a very special podcast. A very special podcast. It touches near and dear to my heart as we get into it. And as you've seen, I'm sure on the title, this is going to be our Fences and Denzel Washington podcast, and we'll get to that in a second. But of course, and of course, for those of you who are long suffering viewers, listeners, what have you, there will be no drinking game tonight because we don't want to be getting messy with mom, draft mom on the watch now, do we?
That's right.
That's right. Moms are gonna mom. Okay, so my first segment, one of my favorite segments, is what I'm watching. And since I've been home, Great Pacific Northwest, hanging out with the draft mom, I've seen some stuff with mom. We've been doing our old Netflix. We've been seeing some movies, and we watched a movie last night called Barry. And I'm generally a sucker for historical fiction. This is a Netflix acquired movie. I heard it was at some film festivals that got a lot of critical acclaim, and so I was very curious to check it out. It's ostensibly about Barack Obama back in 1981, early 80s, when he first came to Columbia. I think it was for law school or undergrad, maybe from California by way of Hawaii, where he grew up. Or grew up in Hawaii, and then went to Occidental for I think a year, and then went out to Columbia, I believe for either undergrad or for law school. There we go. And as you know, early '80s New York City. He's trying to find himself, all that, like good stuff. And basically, as did my mother, who's falling asleep on this very podcast. But
Well,
basically,
actually, I think it was a little boring to tell you the truth. I found it to be.
and well, why did you
Uh,
find it boring, Draft Mom?
because it was a little thin to me. There was no depth to the story. There was no highs or lows as far as I could see. It was just, so. Okay. I
Yeah,
would have
that's a
liked to
pretty
have seen more conflict. Not when I say conflict, I mean more drama, I guess. Even the dramatic scenes were found wanting, I think. That's
no,
just
that
my opinion.
no, and then I'd say that's a pretty fair assessment, Mom. I mean, because it was, yeah, this was a note I wrote for our rundown was like it was like watching a guy stumble through, life and identity almost with no purpose, except that he's very self-aware that he has no purpose, and that he doesn't fit in anywhere. His favorite line in this movie was, "That's just not my scene. That's just not my scene." One thing that definitely is his scene, and I don't know if this is just an exploitation of a very well known, fact, or it's not even such a stereotype. It's not really a stereotype per se, but it's just a lazy exploitation of something that's very well known about the president, that he loves to play basketball. And as most athletes, athletics, for better or worse, are one of those fairly semi-neutral proving grounds where you're fairly respected for your ability to play. It's probably as close to a meritocracy generally as we're going to see in society's sports. And so there's a lot of scenes. I mean, a lot of scenes. Did I say there's a lot of scenes, Mom? That they show this Barack Obama doppelganger, playing basketball with his afro and
Yes,
everything. It's
yeah.
like, yeah, it's I mean, and we get it. All right, it's the great equalizer. Hell, it brought me and Jay Devlin and I together. That's how I met him. I met on the basketball court. So we have that to thank for basketball. But I just felt it was a bit of a trope. Kept going back to it, almost as if that's like the only place he felt like he could be himself, which can be true and false at the same time. I don't know. It was. I did feel the whole movie was felt wanting to a degree.
I do. I do. As I said, I think it lacked a little more drama. I don't know that the actor himself was really into the part, I guess I could say.
Oh, hello, Draft Mom. Did we
Like he
lose
was
you?
just going through lines, and with no great emotion, I guess is what I would say.
Okay, that's fair enough. And we lost you a little bit there, Draft Mom. So kind of lean in a little bit into your mic or your screen. We can't see you.
All right.
You've specifically requested not to be seen to the world. So make sure you lean in a little bit into your computer so we can hear you and hear all your pearls.
Okay. Can you hear me okay now?
Up, you keep going in and out, Mom.
I know, so do you. So I think we have just a slight issue here.
Okay, that's better. I can hear you
Okay.
better. All right, a little low, but like I said, lean in. Another thing
Okay.
that we're watching
Yeah.
is Travelers. I actually just started this. It's another Netflix show. This is actually a series. I believe it's the co-production with the Canadians, and basically it's about time travelers from the future coming back to inhabit the bodies of, as far as I can tell, current day Seattleites. This thing, sets it up so it looks like it was filmed in Seattle. We all know it's filmed in Vancouver. Damn tax breaks. But it seems very interesting. It's like they came back from the future to, I guess, kind of save the future because, of course, the future's messed up. I mean, I don't know. We just elected a celebrity for president, so that might be too far off from the truth. But it's got Eric McCormick from Will and Grace involved. He's entertaining, got a dry wit to it, so it's not all serious doom and gloom sci-fi. But I thought I got off to an intriguing start. It's a little slow starting, but it keeps you involved. What do you think, Draft Mom?
I think that you got a point there. That it does keep
Okay,
you
that sounds
involved.
always right. That's it. That's all there is to it. Care to expand, Draft Mom? Do you have anything to add? You don't have to. It's fine. We know you're shy.
uh, Not really. I think you pretty much summed it up.
So are we going to see some more? Are we going to? I think it's only 8 episodes. Do we want to kind of bang it out before I take off, or what do you think?
Oh, why not bang it out till you take off?
All right, so we're gonna bang out Travelers, and I may have a more detailed report for you in next week's podcast.
Well,
Oh,
actually, let me back up a little bit. I think that Travelers is really very interesting, to tell you the truth. Uh, I I don't know how they pop in and out of the different, I guess, the different areas of
like the people and
existence.
bodies, the different because
Yeah, yeah. It's I find it just a little bit distracting in that I don't know when they're gonna come to present. I mean, they die and then they next thing you know they're doing something live.
oh yeah, so that's a good point to bring up. Not, I mean, really isn't a spoiler per se. It's more like a function of the world. And listeners, of this podcast know that I'm very big on the rules. If we're going to set up this fake world or whatever, there need to be rules. Damn it! So this is actually they actually do a decent job because they show you without exactly telling you too hard that the
Mm,
rule is that when someone actually dies in real life, that's the only time that the traveler can inhabit the body. So you see these people at their times of death, and then all of a sudden they come back to life,
yeah, yeah,
miraculously. So
yeah.
that's when you know that they're being inhabited by a traveler. So that was actually really cool because at least we got rules. I wasn't. That's why Doctor Strange drove me nuts. Is that what are the rules of this place? Same thing with Fantastic Beasts. Just give me some rules. So they give you the rules early on, and once you figure that out, I think you're pretty much good to go.
Yeah, I suppose.
Okay, guess it didn't impress the draft mom that much. Okay, but here is the third thing and the primary thing that we were watching that I just fell in love with, and I'm just going to put all of my biases out on the table up front. Is a Pulitzer Prize winning canonical, iconic piece of theater that is probably almost every bit as important to the human experience in my eyes as is, say, the works of Shakespeare or the novels of of take your pick of author. It's an amazing work. It's been kind of low key great forever, especially in African American theater circles. But it's finally got its just due. It's been made into a film, and to be honest, I mean it plays like a play turned into a film. But there's just no denying just the strength and the beauty and and the complexity of August Wilson's prose. So basically the movie Fences came out. It's part of the talent pool and everything in the Cinema Draft game. Stars Denzel Washington, Viola Davis. Both of them are Oscar winners. Viola did win her Oscar, didn't she? Or she's been nominated at the very least. Anyways, they both could and should win for this performance. It is amazing. It is outstanding, and I mean it's funny how this movie, in being brought to the theater, just reminded me of just how much I really loved the story and the play, because it's basically because I essentially got into acting drama school by using one of its monologues. The monologue that you see in all the advertising, the whole, boy, I ain't got to like you. That was one of my two or three monologues I did, I believe. And I just always had a soft spot in my heart for this movie, or for this play, to see it translate into a movie and literally, he almost didn't even change the word. August Wilson's credited with the screenplay for this because he just took the entire play, transport it into film. It's not terribly cinematic, but just the truth and beauty of August Wilson's words, plus the strength of the performances of Denzel Washington and Viola Davis, has really shined through, and I truly enjoyed it. It was probably one of the best Christmas Day movies that we've seen in a while. What do you think, Draft Mom?
I happen to agree with that. I certainly could. I found myself reciting line for line of that because of the fact that you had it in high school, I think it was, and you kept repeating that whole scene when he's talking to his son over and over around the house. And when it came on screen, I was mouthing the words. I can't believe I remember all of that. But I remember it was a while, and every day you would get up and you would practice those lines, and I would, I got to know the play before I even saw it when at the rep,
And
because
I
of
think
course
everything pretty much worked out, huh, Mom? Because now I have my own podcast. All our hard work paid off.
yes,
Like
it
you,
was it,
boy,
it
ain't got
was
to
great.
like you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember all of that and the emotion you put into it. It's just fun. Aside from that, though, I found it to be compelling, really.
So who
It's
did it? Who did it best? Me or Denzel? Don't lie. Don't cut him any favors, Mom. Don't. I know I'm your son, but just objectively, as objectively as you can, who did
well,
beat Troy Maxon better, me or Denzel?
well, I say it's a tie. How's that? How's that for?
Thanks, Thanks, Draft Mom. I'm good.
How about
Glad to
for
know that you'll lie for me if I need to. That's awesome.
that was a very good political answer, I think.
Wholly unnecessary, but I appreciate it. Look at that, Draft Mom. Just
Uh,
lying for a boy. I appreciate it. Okay, so yeah, and another thing about the Fences, and because I was going to write a review about this, I still might, because the written word does last out there sometimes. But I decided I was going to focus on it a little bit instead, because I really was moved by it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was fun to watch the reactions of people in the theater too, because it was one of those type of movies where, especially if you're of a certain age, because I believe the play came out in, like, was it 93 or 83? It's been out for a while. It's not a new play. And it's one of 10 of the cycle plays which August Wilson wrote. He basically wrote a play set in each decade in the 20th century. So, and I believe I've seen them all. And thank you, Mom. Ever since a very early age, we had season tickets to the theater. So that was very, I mean, for better or worse, I pushed me down the actor path, whether you knew it or not. But thanks to those tickets to the Seattle Children's Theater and then the Seattle Repertory Theater, we did see the bulk of August Wilson's plays there, and then the ones I didn't see there, I saw either at the Alliance Theater in Atlanta or some other places. Well, anyways, Fences is one of the 10 cycle plays. Denzel Washington has, I believe, a 10-picture deal to get all of them, produced. I'm not sure he's going to direct all of them. I highly doubt that he will star in all of them. I think he's just directing and starring in this one to kick them off. And so it's very important that we all turn out to the theater to witness this great, piece of work, because not just because this isn't on some some support black theater stuff. This really is like a really good film and a really good time at the movies. And as I started to say, it was very interesting to watch the reactions of the people around me, especially some of the millennials, who hadn't really been exposed to August Wilson in his heyday, who hadn't, who's this is their first time being exposed to Fences. And it's not a bad exposure because you've got like a top-notch cast. Michael T. Williamson also plays the mentally challenged brother, Gabriel. Russell Hornsby's in there, as like the adult son of Troy Max and everything. It's just a really well cast and really well acted. And just watching some of the reactions, at one point, this young lady, I mean, because this play is just, gut punch after gut punch after gut punch of just, emotion and things happening. And I mean, you do get a chance to breathe to an extent, but it's just, I mean, it's emotionally overwhelming, but in a fairly realistic way of what it's like to have lived the black experience in America. And at one point, this young lady behind me, she could have been, more than 20, 25. And she's like, oh, this is too much. And I can kind of feel her. How was your reaction to just kind of the emotional roller coaster of the film, Mom?
Yeah. Well, I think it was a great it was just great. I would and I don't normally see things again, but I would see it again, I think.
Oh, that's a huge commitment too. 'Cause this is a 2.5 hour movie. It's not small. They literally took the entire play and stuck it
Mm,
into a movie. So you usually have like an intermission at a play or something, but no,
mm.
straight, no breaks,
Oh,
no filler.
that's fantastic.
Ah, well, it has been Draft Mom approved. Excellent. Well, so what are you watching, Mom? Is there anything you were watching before I came home? Anything you're watching that you'd like to recommend to the people?
Uh, I can't think of anything more recent since I've been really kind of busy, and a lot of my shows were pre like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Can't really bring it back, but I really, you know, and I get this remark from my friend always saying that trashy stuff, but I like to see um, the Atlanta Housewives.
The Real Housewives of
Housewives of
Atlanta.
Atlanta. I do like
Twirl,
that.
twirl.
I do like to see that. And of course, as a documentary type thing, 60 Minutes is one of the ones that I tend to be faithful to watching. Um,
Okay.
so I do like those, and I'm looking forward to exploring what is the one with the political show? What is the name of it now?
Not the Real Time with Bill Maher or something
Oh,
else.
there's another one of my favorite, Bill
Oh,
Maher.
the circus, the one where they're following the election. Have you been saving those or?
I've been saving the ones that is the season is almost ending, and you told me that I should hurry up and watch it because
Oh,
everybody.
you're talking about the Designated Survivor. Yeah, that's a fun
Yeah,
show.
yeah, yeah. I'm looking forward to picking up on those. Perhaps when you go back, we'll go
You
back
want to get
home.
out of your hair? Okay, that's fine. Only a few more days. Only a few more days. Goodness gracious.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
All right. So what are y'all watching? Email us at podcast.cinemadraft@gmail.com and tell us what you're watching this holiday season. 'Cause this is the time where pretty much the whole world powers down, sets up for the end of the year. Netflix binges, catches up on shows that have got stockpiling on their DVR. So hit us up. Let us know what you're watching. Maybe we'll talk about it on next week's podcast. Now, on to I was gonna say our top 5 Denzel movies, but I was having an issue. I was having a problem. Now, for those of you who've known me, since high school, or whatever, I've always been long time Denzel fan. Not Johnny Come Lately. He's always been my favorite actor. I at one point I had, and several of them are stacked up behind me here in the attic upstairs. I had collected at one point all of his films, but like 3. I mean, I've fallen behind on some, and they're all on DVD. And who does DVD anymore? But I've seen all his films. I've loved his work for a long time. I have his autobiography, or actually, I've got his biography. He's never had an autobiography. I've had his unauthorized biography, which I read in a freshman year in college, and just a lot of stuff. I'm really huge Denzel it, as the podcast listeners and devotees of the Denzel Washington is the greatest actor of all time, period podcast would call ourselves. I am a Denzelit. Big shouts to Denzelits. I might tag y'all on Twitter, get y'all to listen to this podcast possibly, give you love, show you love and support. And I would rate, and in the tradition of that show, and in the tradition of this show, we like to do top 5 lists, sometimes top 3 lists when we have multiple people here. And I try to cajole my mom into doing a top 5 list, but she refused. She wouldn't. She just
No,
said she just.
I've got news for you. I have two that I really, really like of all times.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Well, so
there.
normally we do a draft, but I would just kind of dominate this thing, and that's not fair. So we will let the lady go first, and tell us what her top Denzel films are, and then I'm going to launch into mine. I mean, I have 5 plus an extra 5 because you just can't lower. You can't limit it to 5. You just can't. You just can't. At least not when you're a Denzel devotee like myself. Not when you're a Denzel like myself. So go ahead, Mom. Tell us what the Draft Mom top Denzel movies are and why.
Just right off the top of my head, I only have two, and Eli has got to be the greatest.
The Book of Eli, and I
Yes.
think I know why, but please tell, why is The Book of Eli your favorite Denzel movie?
Well, I think you know why. I just thought he was just great in that role, something and so authentic, and of course, because it is a religious kind of a film
There you go. Ding, 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 ding.
that he did so well, so well. I still remember it till today, so that means that it really must have impressed me. And the other one is Malcolm X. His portrayal of
Everyone's number one.
Malcolm X
Yes.
has got to be the best ever. Because not only that, but I also has been familiar with Malcolm X since I lived in Harlem at the time, and Malcolm X used to be on his soapbox and
Oh,
spoke.
wait a second. Wait, hold on, Draft Mom. So you're saying you've seen Malcolm X in the flesh
Of
on his
course,
soapbox doing his
of
thing?
course, of
Wait,
course.
what? We're breaking news here, at least to the Sun. This is I had no idea you saw Malcolm X in the flesh. This is
Oh
fascinating.
yeah,
Do
he
tell.
was always like on 125th Street, like on Saturdays when people are moving about, and he was a fiery speaker. Not only that, but he was also on radio. So I just never missed his speech. I mean, being only about maybe can't even remember, maybe 17, 18 years old, I thought it was really very fiery and very exciting to hear the
Huh.
thing that he said, and a bit outrageous to tell you the truth. But
Oh, what made him so outrageous? Just because he was spitting
well,
straight
because
facts, or
he was talking very strong language. In other words, he was always anticipating the plight of the black folks and how they were not in the mainstream of things, etc.
okay.
And those kinds of things were still a little bit
So he was ahead of his time,
touchy.
is what you're saying.
Yes, definitely, most definitely. And I was so sorry to hear when he got killed at the Audubon ballroom, because that's where he was killed. And it's a light that just kind of went out for that time. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's the one part of the movie that I tend to like most people. Like I think W. Kamau Bell on his podcast, with the Denzelites. I think that's also we all are almost in agreement. That's the part of the film that we all kind of like to skip because we know what's
yeah,
coming. It sucks. It's
yeah,
sad. It's
yeah.
filmed and shot fairly beautifully and I guess accurately. I'm not sure, I wasn't there, but yeah, it's just
But
that's really, really fascinating that I mean, I knew you lived in New York at the time. But I didn't quite put the piece together that you could have actually met Malcolm X or
oh
saw him
yeah,
do his thing.
yeah.
That's amazing. Did you ever like
Well,
meet him? Did you ever like shake his hand, or did he ever make eye contact with you or something? I mean,
no,
you
no,
were
no,
hot back in the day,
no,
Mom. You're hot.
no, 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 not quite like that. I mean, I'd be going about my business, and I would always stop for a minute and listen to the soapbox. It basically was on a soapbox, and
You've been took. You've been had. You've been bamboozled, led astray, run amok.
and Denzel captured a lot of his mannerisms and behavior. That was just fabulous. Anyway, so those are my main two.
Now, wow, this is I'm almost speechless. This is probably making for a terrible podcast because I'm just here with my mouth open. That you live to be this old, and never hear that my mom had heard Malcolm X in the flesh. That is very, very interesting and exciting. Let's give it up for the Draft Mom. having lived a full life, have lived a rich, full life, and we're gonna get on to my top five plus five Denzel movies. And actually, so these are actually my top five, and I'll do them in I guess descending order. I guess from fifth to first. I mean, there's really not a bad egg here. Number five, I would say, is Training Day. It's the one that won him his Oscar, a long overdue Oscar. We all know he should have won for Malcolm X. That nonsense with Scent of a Woman still burns me up to this day. Training Day, we all know Training Day. Alonzo, the crooked cop, who takes Ethan Hawke under his wing and then basically tries to corrupt him throughout the day. While I'm not gonna actually, we need to recite all these plots. We all know Denzel's work. Denzel's the goat. Training Day, he won the Oscar, long overdue. Some people in the black community actually were rankled that, oh, he had to play a villain for him to win. I don't even think it's all that. It really was a charismatic performance. And if anything, he was long, long overdue. Training Day, number five. Do you remember Training Day, Mom?
Not too much.
Okay, we'll keep it moving then. Number four, you'll remember this one, Fences. Yes, it
Of
is.
course.
So this is okay, so this is a performance from Denzel, which is a little bit unlike one we've seen as far as it's a very physical performance. He gained weight for this role. It's a very wide performance. He plays a garbage man in 1950s Pittsburgh, and who's had. I mean, you want to talk about living a life? This guy has lived a life that's basically spans the end of one era and into the beginning of another era, where from the days of sharecropping, which were at the outskirts of the end of slavery, to the era of Jackie Robinson and quote unquote progress, which is another, I won't get into that, but the progress of the Negro and advancing through society and being a person who's lived through all that through the backdrop mostly of sports. This Troy Maxson guy was like a really good baseball player before Negroes were allowed into the major leagues. There's a lot of bitterness and resentment there, and so he's got so he has one of those formerly athletic frames that's kind of it's been weighed down by life. It's a very wide performance, and there are lines in the script. I keep saying the screenplay, but the screenplay is the script from the play. But there are lines in the play where they describe him as filling up the room. Troy Max, just this big presence or whatever. And Denzel, to his credit, for most of his careers, kept his weight pretty, actor manageable, but he really did put on weight on this. And there's one scene, which I'm not gonna give away, where you just look at him and he's sitting there and you're like, wow, I've never seen Denzel look so fat. But it works. It's for the performance. What do you think of his physicality in the role, Mom?
Well, I hadn't seen him in a long time, so I just assumed that he had gotten fat or gained some weight. But you say that is not necessarily true. So,
Nah,
but
last we saw him, he was in the Magnificent Seven, and he's
I
shooting
see.
guns and.
I didn't see that one, so I couldn't tell from one to the next which one, where he gained weight at. But I just thought I'd never seen him that heavy, I should say, and not that he was fat. He just had gotten himself a little gut, uh, and
A
gray
very
hair.
strategically placed gut. I do agree. It was, but no, but it fits the role, and it's
Yeah,
it's Denzel. He's going to do what it takes to
right.
complete a role. I heard that on the Denzel Washington podcast, I heard from Spike Lee that for like a year he didn't eat pork, he didn't drink liquor to prepare to be like a Muslim as
Oh,
Malcolm X. I mean, he's just that
oh,
devoted to his
oh,
craft.
oh.
So him getting some weight, I'm sure that was some happy method eating, some method acting eating. So that's number four. Number three is Glory. Of course, that's the one that won him his first Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. I mean, we get so many things from this one. First of all, it's the first time that like a wider and whiter audience was exposed to Denzel en masse. I mean, it's just a star-making performance. The Denzel tier, just the pure charisma of Trip. The guy of the I think he was an escaped slave who joined the Union Army. All that good stuff. I mean, it's just such a great star-making performance. He's outstanding in it. Glory's up there, number three. And oftentimes, I think sometimes either taken for granted or overlooked that this is the movie that really truly gave the world Denzel Washington.
Mm.
You remember Glory, right, Mom?
Yes, vaguely. 'Cause it's been a while
Yeah,
since
but
it
you,
came
do you remember?
out.
Do you remember the part where he's getting whipped for stealing for stealing a
Yes,
pair of shoes,
yes,
and then we see
yes,
that the one single tear down his cheek.
yes, yes. I do remember that. Yes.
We call that the
Yeah.
Denzel tear. That's the
I-
Denzel tear.
That's
That's good
yeah.
stuff. Number two is Mo Better Blues, and this is also, I think, a favorite of an acquaintance of mine, Ava DuVernay. She was also on the Denzel Washington podcast, and she did the whole podcast on Mo Better Blues, and she brought up a lot of good points on how it's just kind of it really was the first movie that really kind of sexualized Denzel. And I'm a straight man. I'm not checking for Denzel like that, but as far as his career goes, that was the type of movie that really that really objectified him in the type of way as an actor you want to be objectified to get more roles, to get leading man roles, to get romantic lead roles. And we don't see a ton of romantic leading roles out of Denzel per se, but this is a pure romantic leading role, albeit a romantic role between a man and his trumpet. Could not get in the way of his trumpet. But it was everything about that movie was so cool. The music, the colors, the look, it was just saturated with just primary colors, beautiful, gorgeous colors. The music was great. I mean, complicated relationships. I mean, and as an artist, first and foremost, if a lot of you probably know I wrote several books, whatever. Still have that writing, bug or gene in me. Thanks, Mom. Being obsessed with your art is a real thing, and we try to live in the world, not let it get in the way of relationships and stuff. But this is really about a man who's obsessed with his work and just trying to fit in life around the edges. And I really could appreciate that movie.
Yeah, that was good.
And of course, Malcolm X. We already kind of covered it with the draft bomb for all the
Mm.
obvious reasons. I'm such a cliche. Everyone puts Malcolm X because it's just such a tour de force performance. But what can I say? I mean, Malcolm X is it's one of the greatest performances like ever in like not even cinema, in just like in acting history. My next five in no sort of order, because I mean I really tried. I mean, once I got through my first five, I was like, oh my god, I'm leaving off all this great stuff that can be found in anyone's top five. Who's a Denzel lover, and of course it's Crimson Tide. Just Hackman and Denzel, mano y mano, just going at it was really exciting. And I saw that with you, Mom. We saw that. I think I want to say it was during like a winter break or something. I was back home from college, I think.
Mm.
We saw that down at South Center, the big theater with all
Yeah.
those people. Do you remember that movie at all?
Yeah, vaguely, I do.
Yeah, the one where they're on the submarine and stuff, and the USS Alabama, Roll Tide, and the nuclear. Well, we've seen a lot of movies together, Mom, so I don't expect you to remember them all.
Well, thank you for that.
Also, Inside Man, that's also another one where you see Denzel just kind of being really cool and in charge, a fairly straightforward cops and robbers type situation, but you love seeing him just as they say on the Denzel podcast, just full of his Denzelishness. Like if anyone else in that role, yeah, just a real full body Denzel performance where he just really dominates the screen, and he's one of the most interesting things, in that movie, of course. And I don't really think the movie does as well as it does without his leading man star power. Did you see Inside Man, Mom?
I don't remember that one too well, but I
Yeah,
don't.
you probably. I mean, you might have seen it, or if you did, it's been a while. It was back in '95, I think, or maybe '98,
I
somewhere
think
back
I
there.
did. That was a bank robbery? I mean, he was yeah.
Yes,
Okay. Oh yes, that was excellent.
there you go.
Excellent. The way
Draft
they.
Mom approved.
Oh really? Yeah, yeah. I mean, that was a thriller to me.
Yeah, it was good. Thriller, Jodie Foster, Clive Owen, all that good
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah.
And Chiwetel, who ever since I saw him in Dirty Pretty Things back in the '90s, I called the British Denzel, baby Denzel, who's also very charismatic in his own right. Chiwetel Ejiofor, he's the second lead in Doctor Strange. He's been in a lot of other stuff. I think he's been nominated for an Oscar here and there.
Mm,
Definitely
mm.
probably some Golden Globes. Just an excellent actor, British. Just really does good stuff. He's the closest living working actor that I can think of that reminds me of Denzel these days. At least has the potential to be a Denzel. He's really
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
12 Years a Slave. That's the guy. He was the lead in
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
He Got Game. I mean, I love a good basketball movie. The basketball action, this was actually pretty decent. The legendary story about how in the climactic scene between Ray Allen, who plays Denzel's son, Jesus Shuttlesworth, and and then Denzel's character, Jake Shuttlesworth, this convict who's been sent out into the world to get his son to recruit his son to sign with some state college, whatever. The climactic scene on the page was written that Jesus beats Jake 15 to 0, but of course Denzel, being Denzel, who was once a JV point guard, I think, at Fordham University, he ain't going out like that. He scored, I think, the first 4 baskets against Ray Allen, a future Hall of Famer basketball player. And Ray Allen's like, what am I supposed to be doing? What's going on here? Then so he has to play for real, and of course it turns into a rout, and he wins as per the script. But I just love that it's Denzel Washington. He goes off script, he goes off book. He's like, I ain't going out 15-0. I'm gonna get some buckets on this young buck. I'm gonna get some buckets on this dude. Just to say that he did. So He Got Game. That's a great basketball movie. A highly, highly underrated movie is my next of my next 5. Deja Vu.
Oh,
Sci-fi. Is it Ridley Scott or Tony Scott? I think it might be Tony Scott. Sometimes I get my Scotts confused. I think it was a Tony Scott. And Tony Scott actually was a
it was
directorial
Tony
muse
Scott.
for Denzel. It was Tony? Oh, did you IMDb it? Good job, Mom. Mom's on top of it. Fact checking for the people. Yeah, it was Tony Scott, set in New Orleans. Once sci-fi, but once again, there are rules, and I can get behind these rules once they're kind of parceled out for us. And it's our first real exposure to Paula Patton, aka the ex Mrs. Robin Thicke, and she's gorgeous, and you can see how this guy, in through his time travels, kind of falls in love with her or whatever. But it's a really underrated sci-fi thriller that I really enjoyed. I truly enjoyed it. Do you remember seeing Deja Vu, Mom? Because I owned it. It's probably upstairs here somewhere.
Yeah, I probably have to go look at it again to get the flavor of what it
Yeah,
was about.
yeah, I enjoyed it. It seemed like one of the more, I wouldn't say low rent Denzel films, but I mean a lot of stuff's at stake in the film. But as far as like the way the movie was rolled out, marketing wise, everything, I think it might have been dumped in
Mm.
like a February of the year or whatever. Like it wasn't really like a really heralded Denzel performance, but I enjoyed it.
Well,
It's a really good film.
well, it
It's
made a good dollar at the box office.
How much did it
It
make?
made 180.6 million.
I'm sorry, you cut out 100. How much million? 100
I
million?
said it made 180.6 million. I don't think that's too shabby.
Whoa, was that all domestic or worldwide? That's kind of
Well, that
interesting.
I
I did
don't
not know
know, but
that.
it was in 2006, and that a kind of money for a film to be making at that time, I would say it's pretty doggone good.
Hey, I must be getting old and remembering my facts wrong. Okay, all right. No, and also there's a really interesting chase in the middle of the movie where you're simultaneously seeing the past and the present in the chase, which I thought was really, really
Uh,
innovative, and no one really talks about that. So, Deja Vu, check it out, all you
I think I
Denzelians.
will look up that again because I don't remember that part as you mentioned.
Yeah, well, it's up here. I think we got the DVD or the Blu-ray, so we got it for
Oh,
you, Mom. In my
okay.
Denzel collection, my analog Denzel collection. And the last of my next 5 would be Man on Fire. I mean, it's often mentioned on the Denzel podcast for good reason. It's become a bit of a cult classic as the years have gone by because it's just such an intense performance. I mean, Denzel playing the guardian of a little girl who is eventually is kidnapped. Played by Dakota Fanning. She's all grown up now, but she's playing a precocious kid back then. I think it was 1998, somewhere around there. Anyways, Man on Fire. It's just a guy who's out of F's to give. He's just out. No more F's to give. He's just out there, just burning the world down to get this little girl back. I mean, and there's so many like cliches or tropes that it could have fallen into because there is a literary and film tradition or whatever, however wrongly in this country of the black person with no inner life who's out there just to serve the white people in his life. Like we call it the magical Negro. Like this guy doesn't love anybody, doesn't have any inner life of his own. He's just there to serve the purposes of the white protagonist. Bagger Vance comes to mind. But anyways, what makes this so much better than your typical magical Negro movie. I mean, I wouldn't call this magical Negro movie at all, because we do see the pain inside of what this character is. John Creasy is the name of the character. We do see the pain inside this guy, how we kind of get clues to how he ended up being, a private security bodyguard for this rich couple in Mexico City. And then we kind of understand why, when the little girl's abducted, why he just snaps. He's done. Like I said, out of F's to give, 0 F's. And he just goes on a rampage, to get this little girl back and to torture everyone who's in his way. And it's not just, oh, I must serve, my white and Latin masters. It's not even, it has nothing to do with it. He really has a bond with this little girl. He's out, to exact some justice, and he doesn't care if it costs him the lives of others or his very own life. And I mean, I can't even say it's underrated at this point, because I think over time it has now become properly rated. Man on Fire. Definitely check it out if you haven't checked it out, all you Denzel fans out there.
Amen.
I don't think you've seen Man on Fire, have you, Mom?
No, I don't think I did. I wanted to, but somehow or other it slipped me and I never got back to it.
Well, they're upstairs. Maybe I'll bring the collection down for you after this podcast. They're all up here, all the good stuff, Mom, all the good stuff. Okay, so that concludes our main topic. We're actually running a little bit over, so I'm going to try to speed through the rest of this podcast. But I just get worked up about Denzel. That's my dude. I love that guy. So, anyways, what is Cinema Draft? Allow me to describe the game to you real briefly. It is the fantasy sports version of the movies. You draft 10 actors who are assigned a dollar value salary. You have $100K in budget to try to draft all 10 of your actors. You need 10, no more, no less. You must draft one actor from each of the 3 release types of movies. Wide release, 2,000 screens or more. Limited release, between 501 to 1,999 screens. Or platform release, small films, 500 screens or less. Now, headliners are 2 per movie. We get 2 of them, and their points are worth 40% more. So, for example, if Suicide Squad earns $100 million in a weekend, Margot Robbie will get 100 points, while Will Smith would get 140 points as a 1 point per million wide release film. Also, you get 1 point per 500,000 in limited release, and you get 1 point per 100,000 box office gross for your platform releases. It is free to play, with over $300 in prizes this week. So come on, check out our beta. Still a little wonky here and there. We're not optimized for mobile yet. Our apologies, but get to a laptop or a desktop computing machine and go ahead and play the game. As I said, it's free to play, and you could win a little bit of money. So we are going to get to what I call the shot list. And these are views you can use to pick the winning Cinema Draft call sheet. And we're going to give you a little sneak peek into how we set the game up. This is what we call the talent pool. I'm going to share my screen. There you go. And so basically the first actor I want to draw your attention to, this is what I call the A list. And these are actors you'll definitely want on your call sheet. And I want to bring attention to everyone's favorite, our girl ScarJo in this little movie called Sing, which did 54 million in the box office opening weekend over the Christmas holiday. I do believe we're gonna go check out Sing this weekend, aren't we, Mom?
Yes, we are.
That's right. ScarJo is 15,900. Like I said, you have 100,000 in budget, so she might take up a nice little chunkier budget, but she is a headliner. It's a wide release, and I have a strategy this week. I will share it with you just to encourage to more people to follow behind me. I'm betting that Sing is actually going to top Rogue One this weekend. So I'm stacking this movie. I'm getting ScarJo. I'm getting Matthew McConaughey. I'm probably going to get some of the cheaper, Sing voice actors like Jennifer Saunders and Taron Egerton. I'm gonna get as much Sing as I possibly can because I think the savings you get from a Rogue One, which as you can see is priced up in the 24,000 range. I think you can make up the difference with that in volume of actors you can stick onto your call sheet. So, and it is a wide release, so you get 1 point per million in box office. So I think it's gonna have a really strong second week, probably in the 30 to 35 million range. So get you some Sing. The other person on the shot list, on the A list, sorry, I would like to point out is Taraji P. Henson in Hidden Figures. And this is another movie that, I mean, there's so many movies this weekend that I want to stack. I want to stack Hidden Figures because that movie's on only 25 screens. But
Mm.
guess how much it did in box office the weekend, Mom? Can you guess how much it did on box office this weekend?
No. How much?
Hidden Figures? How much? It did. I know the answer to this, but I want to build suspense. It did 838,000 on 25 screens. That is a
Oh,
whopping
that's fantastic.
$33,000 per screen average, which I think might be the highest average of the weekend. Oh,
Wow.
actually, okay. So it was the third highest average that weekend. Up, and here is a Jay Devlin favorite, friend of the podcast, Jay Devlin. He was really big on Patriots Day. He went all in on Patriots Day, and it actually didn't do badly. It did had the second highest per screen average at $33,866 per screen. The problem was it's only on 7 screens, so that's so that's the difference between getting about 2.5 fantasy points for Patriots Day per actor versus getting almost 8.5 for Hidden Figures. It's on 25 screens, so
Mm.
basically, it's third highest per screen average last week. I'm not sure if it's expanding or not. I don't believe it's expanding this weekend. But if it does, definitely get on board with that. It's probably going to stay in the platform release category,
Mm.
and you're going to want to get and it's cheap too. I mean, look at it. The price is 7,000 for Taraji. She's a headliner. 6,600 for Octavia Spencer, another headliner, and then everyone else is just over 6,000. So definitely check out Hidden Figures. It's a platform release. And you can definitely stick multiple actors from that movie in your call sheet. Co-starring is the part of the shot list, which are some values you may want to look out for this weekend. May not be my number one values, but you might want to take a look at some of these actors. And one of whom I'm picking is Rooney Mara, a lion, also known as the girl with the dragon tattoo. I'm not sure if that franchise is coming back, but she is the co-star in the cheaper of the two headliners in Lion, which came out I think 2 weekends. Actually, it's been out for a few weeks, but it's ramped up to now where it was at the very precipice of going into limited release. It had 500 screens, so it was at the very top end of platform release, and it still did some good business. It did. What did it do? It did about there it is. It did one. Oh wow, that's actually quite impressive. It did 1.5 million over that weekend on 500 screens. So that might be a hidden gem right there. You might want to check that out and see what you can see with Lion, because at just 6,100, if it stays platform release, that might be the hidden value play right there. Because if you're getting 1.5 million again next weekend, it's kind of hard to say what you might get. But even if you get like 1.1 million, 1.2 million, that's 11 or 12 fantasy points per actor from Lion. And it's dang near dirt cheap. 6,100 for a headliner is probably as cheap as what you're going to get this week. And Rooney Mara, I think Dev Patel, who's the lead of this movie, one of those kind of touchy-feely holiday type movies you want to have on your in your mix of family movies. A young Indian guy trying to find his birth parents, traveling through India and what have you. He's only 6,400. So check out Lion. It's a borderline must play if it stays at the platform max of 500 screens. Diego Luna, you got just like paying your taxes, life, death, Rogue One. You might want some exposure to Rogue One. It's still going to be on 4,157 screens. So Diego Luna is the cheaper of the two headliners. If you're going to pay 24 grand for a movie for an actor from a movie, you might as well go Diego Luna, Rogue One. It's probably going to do 30 to 35 million. I still think Sing's going to eclipse it this weekend, but check out Diego Luna and Rogue One. And Mom, Draft Mom, you saw Rogue One while I was here,
Yeah.
didn't you? What do you think of that?
Oh, very exciting. A lot of action. And those people that like a lot of action, that surely was the film to see.
Well, you've been an OG in this game, and you were back when we were just purely off spreadsheets like the one that's on screen right
Uh-huh.
now. So what do you think its prospects going into? I guess it's in its second week, official week of release. Is essentially its third weekend. How do you feel are its prospects going into this weekend? Do you think it has what it takes to to surpass Sing or stay ahead of Sing, or do you think it's going to slightly drop into the number two slot?
I think it's still it I think it's gonna be still ahead of Sing, only because it's a Star Wars type movie, and it's the mystique that a lot of people, I'm convinced, have, that why they hold it in such high regards. Sing I haven't seen yet, so I don't know, but I think also it's got a good chance because of the fact that it is an animated film, and they seem to do pretty good at the box office from time to time.
Yes, animated films do very well at the box office because they tend to be four quadrant hits if they are written well enough, so that both
Yeah,
the adults are
yeah,
engaged and the kids are engaged. So yeah,
yes,
so
yes,
I'm looking forward to seeing what Sing has to offer as well. And let me start wrapping this up, go a little faster because I'm supposed to go out and see La La Land
yeah.
with a good friend of mine. So looking forward to that. Okay, the cutting room floor is basically the area, part of the shot list where we say skip these losers. And all collateral beauty. Although I've yet to see this movie, I'm slightly intrigued. Not sure if I want to pay for it or to pay full price, but I probably will go check it out, just see what people are sleeping on. But this is what happens, and I warned us all of this in a few podcasts ago with Jay Devlin. I warned us that this is what happens when you press too hard on the earnest button. I mean, when you're just out here just nakedly gunning for my emotions, trying to make me feel a certain kind of way. No, don't do it. Stop, stop. I'm gonna feel how I want to feel. Don't tell me how I'm supposed to feel. If I want to cry in a movie, dang, you ain't gonna tell me I'm gonna cry. It's just gonna happen. All right. So I think they're jamming that earnest, sappy holiday feel button. Yeah, I guess people just had better things to do or just openly rejected. I don't know, but this movie's too wide for its own good. It might actually drop into. I'm guessing it's going to drop down to limited release, and that's still going to be too too big of a release for it. Because at 1 point per $500,000 in box office limited release category release type, you're not going to get what you want at a collateral beauty. So you want to skip this loser. And then also all Doctor Strange. Hello, you still there? It's min priced for it pretty much. It's been out for 9 weeks. My goodness, it's probably going to be on around 200 screens is my best estimate. So you want to skip Doctor Strange. It's had a good run, but we like to have 20 films for you guys to have enough variety to choose from and making your call sheets. And this is just a filler film. It'll probably be gone next week. So it was fun while it lasted. Doctor Strange. Don't let the door hit you, or the good Lord split you. Okay, so our over under this week, we're going to post a poll on our at Play Cinema Draft Twitter account, and the over under this week will be Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Will it make 45 million or more? I will post the over under shortly after this podcast is uploaded, and you can go to at Play Cinema Draft on Twitter and let us know what you think. There is 45 million too high or too low for week 3 of Rogue One. Okay, so that is about going to do it. We have to bring this puppy in for landing because I got things to do. Where can you find Cinema Draft? Hopefully you've already found it at cinemadraft.co. That is cinemadraft.co. Sign up for the free beta. It is free to play, 100%. Make your call sheets, interact with the fans. We also have all sorts of social media. We got Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. It's either at Play Cinema Draft or Cinema Draft. Also, Medium is where our official corporate blog is. That's at Cinema Draft. We even have a Pinterest, dang it. And feel free to subscribe to us on iTunes or wherever you subscribe to your favorite podcast programs. Of course, that is also free. Just search for Cinema Draft Podcast. Imagine that. We stay on brand here. And we are live with over $300 in prizes this weekend. The games are currently up, free to check out. When you go sign up for a game, you can throw in a call sheet. It's easy to do. It's fun to do. And we have over $300 in prizes, including $200 in the feature presentation. So go ahead, get in there, make a call sheet, show us what you got. Show us what you got. All right, and that is going to do it. I want to give big thanks to the person who put me on this earth, the Draft Mom.
You're welcome, son.
I know you guys love her. I don't know why. She's just the person who gave us me. But we love you, Mom. Thanks for coming back on the podcast. Hopefully, you'll join us another time when I am not here in your home. And we are going to bring this in for a landing. Thanks, everybody. Make sure you get your call sheets in by 10 p.m. Pacific time Thursday night. The theater count lock, that is when we lock the amount of theaters for each release type. That happens at 6 p.m. Pacific time on Thursday night. So if you already have a call sheet in there, make sure you go back and double check your call sheets to make sure you have a valid call sheet. And good luck to everybody this week. Get your share of the money of over $300 in prize pool. The results will be posted after 3:30 p.m. Pacific time on Monday. Happy holidays to all. Happy New Year. And thanks for listening.